Nerd reactor, roll out.
Jimmy, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's a big week this week, right?
It is, man, and it started like at Ryback. We had an event when we all did stand-up. Me, Joe, and even Ronnie Chen came and supported, you know.
Shit.
And then we were in Montreal doing stand-up with Joe
Yeah.
promoting Easter Sunday, and now we just came back here, ground level. We ready
it's
to
just
celebrate this.
Back and forth.
I know, yeah.
Back and forth, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you, like, as many years of being like an actor and a voice actor, this is, you know, your first time in a producing role,
Yeah.
right? So, how is there something that you learned from this side of production as opposed to, you know, the acting side? Is there
Yeah.
any differences?
So much. First of all, on the storytelling side, you know, we broke the story together, and then our writer Ken Chang wrote a great script. So that side, it's like, how do you already, like, because we already have so much great, funny material from Joe's stand-up, from his life. How do you extrapolate that and put it in a movie in an authentic, cohesive way, right?
Yeah.
That's number one, and I think that's the building block of any movie, is the storytelling part. And then, you know, you get into casting, seeing other people's auditions, which as an actor, I'm like, oh my God, how did I ever get a job? Like, everyone is so
Yeah.
good, you know? So it's very hard to choose. And then you go on set, and as an actor on set, but also a producer, it kind of took the stress off of me as an actor, because my job now is to make sure Joe shines. So that was good, you know, and I was there on the first day. So my job was like, make sure Joe shines, make sure Joe is comfortable in this, and we had so much fun on that. And then in post-production, you know, there's meetings about how the posters look like,
Yeah.
you know, and then talking about the release date, things like that. And even now tracking the numbers. It's a very interesting exercise, and I think it informs how much goes into this business. And I've been pretty pampered and privileged as just someone in front of camera before this.
First of all, congratulations. I love the movie. I felt like I was watching, you know, my own family in a mirror. And so
Oh no, I hope not.
I mean, all Filipino families are pretty much the same because we all have, you know, the same like archetypes. Like my own mom was hard on me. My own tita was also hard on me, but we know it comes from a place of love. And so, is there anyone in your family that inspired you to play Susan or Tita Teresa? And if so, what were they?
Oh, well, my mother was really strict, and then you know the temper that was from my aunts, my titas who fancied themselves very Spanish, you know, with that temper. Yeah, temperamental.
I don't know, my grandma is the opposite of these characters, so I guess I was sort of conjuring this as a amalgam of different spicy women that I know. Maybe the spicy woman that I've become. My grandma was very reserved, very closed off, and, you know, stern, and, you know, kind of like that. So it's kind of funny. I guess over the course of time, you get beat up enough, you get a little tougher. So that's what I brought to this role.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with my, you know, Nanay too. Like, she was very, like, reserved, but she was also very, like, supporting in her own ways. With your time spending with a lot of, like, Filipino families during this whole, like, filming process, was there anything that you've learned about our crazy, like, Filipino culture and families that stood out?
What I learned is that there's, Filipinos are similar to Indians, and in that there's like this really funny, loving, argumentative group of sort of older folks, and then the guys are kind of macho. Like when I was a kid, Smokey and the Bandit came out, and all of my uncles grew mustaches because they wanted to be like Burt Reynolds.
Oh, really?
And I recognize that in the Filipino male community too. I see that.
So, in what ways did you like see, like, you know, was it the mustache or, you know, like the Tito Arthur like character with him with weapons
Tito
of
Arthur
belts?
was like a mailman with knives. I think you know that was sort of a fun little thing, and I just like that, you know, that the two aunties are just sort of bickering, and Joe's joke was that, you know, we would come home and they'd be arguing about, in this huge argument, and when you got them together and said, what exactly are you arguing about, they would always hem and haw, and neither of them knew what it was.
Was this also something that you saw in your family as well, with your own aunties?
Yeah, they're little slights. Somebody slighted my mother, and then it would last for years.
Oh no! Oh no!
They'd still be invited because it's Christmas and whatever.
Yeah,
and
it's family. Yeah.
But there would be cold air blowing through.
Now, since I've watched your comedy special, the one on Amazon, and you talk about your family a lot, and in a way, it kind of resembles like our Filipino family as well. So, do you notice like what's the biggest like similarities that you notice between our culture and yours?
Well, I think all good comedy, like Joe's comedy, everyone's, when we talk about our family, it's universal. It's a very specific story about our family, about Joe's mother, about my father, but it's relatable. It's like when I grew up watching George Lopez specials.
Yeah,
I didn't have a Mexican auntie, but I related to it. And I think that's the power of comedy and storytelling, where you can tell something very specific to Filipino culture or Chinese culture, but it's relatable to everyone. And that's how people learn, and that's how people kind of find joy in other people's culture too. And I think that's why it's important that this movie's coming out.
Yeah, because when I was listening to your jokes about your dad, it kind of reminded me of my dad as well. So I feel like, it is like pretty relatable. Like, it's not just like for, Chinese culture, Filipino culture, even Jay's like Indian culture.
Yeah.
It's, it's universal. All families are crazy. And I think that's why, Easter Sunday is like a good way to like say that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the more specific you get about a joke, about a story, like don't shy away from that. You know?
Exactly.
The more specific you get, and sometimes people think that only happens in their family. No. It becomes more universal because it's like, oh my God, my mom is exactly just like that.
Yeah. Now, as you guys were playing these characters, do you have a better understanding of the kind of place where your aunties and where your moms were coming from, because you have a better understanding playing this role for this movie?
Geez, do I have a better understanding of the women that came before me? Yeah, I suppose so. Each generation builds on the next, don't you think? We're where we are because of we're standing on the shoulders of our mothers and grandmothers and aunts that came before us. So I'm grateful that they were strong and brave and daring and made me the strong and brave and daring person who sits before you today.
Yeah, I think they really were striving to make things better for us. So that's where all the like pushing comes from. And I also think that going back to being temperamental, and losing, that was their theater. They weren't actors, but they were so dramatic in real life.
Now, my favorite scene in the movie is the karaoke scene towards the end of the movie, because it shows like how Filipino families, no matter all the fights that we've been through, it comes from a place of love, and especially with the song choice, I Got a Feeling. Now, what was that scene, like to shoot? Did you guys have to perform it many times?
Filipinos are like the singers of Asia, don't you think?
Yeah.
Karaoke is like our superpower.
Yeah.
Arnel Pineda became the lead singer of Journey, not for nothing.
That's true.
Every hotel bar in Manila has world-class singers. So of course we had to have karaoke in the movie.
And I love the way where it's placed in the movie, where it's coming out of a heavy scene into the celebration, and it can switch like that, with family.
Yeah.
So that's the drama.
Was there a particular scene where you're like, oh my God, I cannot wait to direct this particular scene?
It was a film that was made kind of very quickly and under a weird circumstance, which is the COVID situation.
Yeah.
And so there was an original draft written by Ken Chang, and then my friend Kate Angelo came in and we kind of rewrote it. Ken was involved too, and we rewrote it. But we were doing it remotely, and we were like on Zoom, and like we never even, Kate and I never sat in the same room. And there were things like there was a stand-up comedy routine at the church. And
Oh,
we just
yeah,
knew
yeah.
we needed a big, funny scene there. And so we rewrote that thing 20 times. And finally, we got it to the point where, like, I think this is going to work. And we showed it to Joe, and he goes, yeah, I can do this and this and this. And we were all of us still like, God, I hope it works. And then when he did it live, he hadn't done stand-up in a while because of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was emotional and hilarious. And I remember, like, weeping with laughter. And I'm like, this is going to work. This is going to work.
Yeah, I felt like that particular scene, it just showcases Joe's talents
Yeah.
as a comedian. And I'm sure like it was hard to film that scene, especially with the COVID protocols, with all of the many people in like the pews and all that.
Well, we did, yeah. We did a little Hollywood trickery to make it seem like there were more people there than there were.
Oh, it's a little sleight of hand, right? Yeah, I feel
I'm
like.
a skilled professional.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you've been in this business for so long, like, yeah. With the particular, with your particular skill set, like you've directed like a lot of dysfunctional families throughout your entire career, like, even Beer Fest itself, like the guys were its own dysfunctional
Right.
family.
Arrested Development.
Yeah, Goldbergs, was
sure.
there a particular thing that you brought to that from your experience to Easter Sunday?
The key for a film like this is you can't just make a sweet film where everyone loves the Filipinos. You got to make a movie that works for all sort of families. And so Joe was going to be the lead, so you needed the mother, Lydia Gaston, to be his opposition. And you
Yeah.
needed her to be mean and funny. And so that was sort of the key. Every movie requires an opponent.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of the core, in my view, of this movie is that relationship between Joe and his mom. And just how they're clank, 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 clank.
Yeah, I felt that too.